So 35 people walk into a pub. Sadly, this isn't a setup for a joke. Boilerplate. Mobile formatting, and I'm dumb, so sorry for spelling, grammatical mistakes. TLDR at the end. XL. So this happened a couple of years back in a pub I was working at. I worked the bar at this pub, which was pretty popular especially on sunny days as we had a lot of outdoor seating and a pretty huge beer garden. Now the story takes place one exceptionally hot summer Sunday. For those of you who have the joy of not being all that familiar with our tea and crumpets society, I'll enlighten you as to why this is a pain for working in a pub. Firstly, the moment the sun blesses our sodden grey land with its presence, we British come out of our thatched caves to bask in its glow like the lizard people our royal family is. This subsequently also means everyone had the exact same though of, let's go have a pint at the pub and sit in the sun. Yay for bartending. The other noteworthy point here is that on Sunday, a roast is had. Beef, lamb, chicken or pork with roasted potatoes, veggies, gravy and Yorkshire puddings. All of which is wonderful unless you have to spend 2 hours cooking it. With that out of the way, this particular Sunday we were full, and I mean full. Bar 4 or 5 people deep. The 100+ tables all double booked for turnover, and I found myself without a moment's respite. Between pouring drinks and telling people we were fully booked. During this manic rush, I spot a bit of a commotion outside and see a group of roughly 30 to 35 people, including screaming kids, walking through the courtyard, ignoring everyone and into the beer garden. Once my colleague and I had thinned down the numbers at the bar substantially, I told him I was going to walk past to see what the huge group was doing. Anyone that's worked with real-life people of course know that people suck. Hence why I just wanted to walk past and avoid interaction. Also, it's a pet peeve of mine when people just sit themselves down, ignoring all the staff and expecting us to accommodate them without even the courtesy of mentioning to someone that they're here. So I take a step past the threshold of the bar. Always dangerous, and that day a choice I regretted. And walk through the beer garden collecting empty glasses as I go. As I near the area, the group has settled in. As far away from the building as possible, I might add. I avoid eye contact at all costs. You're not going to come say hi. Then I can't see you. Walking past the group, I am spotted by a very angry woman. The Alpha Karen, if you will. Snapping her fingers at me to try and get my attention. As I tried to get away, she stormed up to me and stared me dead in the face. Excuse me, we've been waiting here for the last 15 minutes and no one has come to give us menus. What the hell are you all doing? Quote. I'll admit I was momentarily in shock, as the group had to walk through the courtyard and must have seen the crowds of people and stressed waiters everywhere. I'm sorry, madam, but I had no idea you were here. Did you speak with anyone to let us know? Quote. Then what I saw was a rage build just below her plasticized skin. Yes. I spoke with the redhead. Quote. No one that worked there was a redhead. Well, anyway, I want some menus, we're starving. Quote. I looked past her and asked how many they were. We're 36 people. That's not a problem, is it? She said without so much as a hint of understanding why this was ridiculous. Well, yes, actually. That's quite a lot for a walk-in, and as you probably saw on your way in, we're extremely busy. I'm afraid we have no tables available and we don't serve food in the beer garden. You'll have to try your luck at getting a table in the courtyard, but I can't imagine you'll be able to find enough seating for the 36 of you, and I simply can't hold tables for you turning other guests away. The reality is that I could, but simply didn't want to. She stared at me for a moment, then said, You don't serve food in the beer garden, or you won't serve me food in the beer garden? No madam, the establishment does not serve food in the beer garden. Ah. Fine. Look, can we just have chips then? For the kids? They're starving. I thought about it for a moment, deciding if I was really willing to put up with this or if I should just say no and send them on their way. Against my better judgment, I said okay, but they would have to sit in the courtyard once the tables were available, and asked roughly how many portions of chips they would be wanting. She replied 6, and I said that's probably fine, but she'll have to go inside to order. This did not sit well with her, and she started to get very cross. On my way back, and I swung by the kitchen to let them know what's up and to expect 6 chip orders, but not to rush them because the woman was an enormous pain. I get back to the bar and it's busy again. 3 to 4 people deep, so I immediately jump in and start pouring pints. A few minutes later I hear, "Oh, for God's sake, this is ridiculous," and immediately know who it is. This tiny angry woman pushes her way through the crowd and snaps her fingers at me to get my attention. I want to order my chips. And hurry it up, the kids are hungry. Okay. I'll put them on now. 6 portions, correct? Quote. No. 17 inches. Sufficient to say I was bewildered. Madam, that's not what we discussed. I'll have to see if the kitchen can even do that. We're very busy. We'll go on then. Run along to the kitchen, she barked. As I was about to, I hear, actually, can you make it 35? Madam, I'll be honest with you, there's no way you'll get them all at once, it's simply too many. For the fryer. It'll have to be in batches, and it's going to take a while as there are more pressing orders ahead of you. You will also need to pay up front. I don't care. Bring them one by one if you have to. As soon as one is ready, bring it out. Bingo. I went and spoke to the chef, explaining what was going on. Rude woman. Many chips. One by one. He laughed, and we decided to do exactly as she asked. Bring on the MC. So despite being very, very busy, as soon as one portion of chips was ready, I took it out. 1 portion. Only 1. She was not pleased. What the hell is this? I said 35 portions, not 1. As I explained to you inside, madam, 35 portions is simply far too many for our fryers to handle in. There is a substantial number of other orders ahead of you. I had to try very hard to hide my shit eating grin at this point. But, what the hell do you expect me to do with this? Quote. Perhaps you could have 1 chip each per portion? And I swiftly turned and walked away. Following this, every 10 to 15 minutes I would take out 1 more and only 1 more portion of chips. The group. By about portion 12 they had been there several hours and were fed up. They tried to complain to the manager, but she was so rude and disrespectful to myself, my manager, and other staff members that he dismissed her, stating that I had explained clearly to her that we were very busy and she herself, and told me to bring them out 1 portion at a time if need be. They left very angry, and we had 23 portions of chips paid for that staff got to enjoy later on. TLDR. Very rude woman with group of 35 expects us to feed them on a very hot, busy Sunday when the pub is overflowing. Asks for 6, then 17, then 35 portions of chips. They come out 1 portion every 15 minutes until they eventually leave, and we get to eat the 23 portions of chips they didn't wait for. Edit. Spelling. Also, a few people have mentioned they feel bad for the rest of the group. Well, don't. I didn't mention it because it wasn't really relevant to the MC, but they were all pretty rude and finger snappy. For anyone worried about the starving kids, they got the first bowl of chips, covered most of the table in ketchup, smashed 3 or 4 chips into the table, and left at least a 1/3 of the chips. I don't think they were as close to death as Alpha Karen tried to preach. Also, thanks for the awards, everyone. I give you full credit to not lose it at the finger snaps. When I'm at my stick behind the bar, finger snapping turns the snapper completely invisible for long periods of time. And then I will calmly, slowly tell them to never snap for servers or barkeeps. It's a huge pet peeve of mine. Okay, I'll put them on now. 6 portions correct? Quote. No. 35 inches. Give them an inch and they take a mile. Why would any person, at any time, at any pub think a 35-person walk-in would be just fine and dandy? These sorts of stories simply reaffirm my motto. I prefer working with machines. It's socially acceptable to hit them with a hammer when they misbehave. Quote. I worked in a pub kitchen once for about a month. The manager, landlord was a cockwomble. The head chef was a complete tool and the punters were absolute morons. The waitress, server was drop-dead gorgeous but dumb as a bucket of rocks. Even all these years later, I still refuse to drink in that particular watering hole. Now I'm surrounded by machines and I only have to see actual people when they've broken their toys. Win. Win for me. Dash. Should have brought each chip out individually. Great story. Should be posted in Tales from your server. They'll love this story there. They left very angry and we had 23 portions of chips paid for that staff got to enjoy later on. As a bonus, my new headcanon for the 1/4 portion guy in The Force Awakens is now your story. He's busy. Can't cook all the food at once. Great management to back up their front line. Excellent MC there. Just a hint, I would try to break up your paragraphs by putting some double returns in. It looks like a wall of text in places. I worked in a sports bar and I know exactly the feeling and scene you just gave. Glad I don't work for that place anymore. I'm very sorry you have to deal with that shit. Honestly, I don't understand how or why people are this rude. I've literally never even thought of doing anything to the extreme of that. A dribble of chips for the mega Karen, please. Worst times for pubs. Good summer weather and Christmas. That's when we tend to get the people who don't seem to know how to act in public out. God, this reminds me of the time working in a pub. When summer was over and the beer garden was closed with gates locked. But on a sunny day people would push the gates in. These were wooden gates and with enough force can be pushed enough for people to go through. As the garden was closed, we didn't think to check there and glasses would have sat for days on end. There were also some people who wanted to eat there claiming it was open. This was even during winter as well when the sun came out. Really pissed me off when customers don't have any respect for the pub they're visiting. My only critique, and if you had done this, the story may gone in a completely different, but no doubt entertaining direction, was not to have even agreed to the chips in the beer garden. If it's no food served in the beer garden, then it's no food at all, not even chips. Though I do love a good chip buddy myself. Of course, the entitled wench would have exploded. Perhaps even literally, we can but hope. At this denial of the poor starving waifs in their unexpected and unwelcome troop. Finger snapping equals no service. Employees aren't there to be treated like dogs. Took me until the end of the story to realize we were talking British English and chips didn't mean the thin, crunchy things. Your writing is incredible. Thanks for this. Legendary move on yours, and your manager's part. I went out with a work colleague who was an arm-waving finger snapper. I couldn't believe my eyes. Never went out with her again.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Aircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.